he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Several seasoned boxing analysts have cautioned Jake Paul against fighting Gervonta Tank Davis, especially after recent training footage showed Davis striking with blistering speed and unrelenting power. Experts warn that staging a fight with such a major size difference is not only physically risky but also damaging to boxing's reputation. They argue that Paul must treat Davis as a legitimate, explosive fighter, not merely a content creator turned boxer. Critics also point out that the footage highlights Davis as not only fast and agile, but also technically sharp and capable of trapping opponents, which could be extremely dangerous if Paul becomes complacent.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
Promoter Eddie Hearn has starkly cautioned Paul about the dangers of fighting Davis. Hearn warned that Paul could face serious, even devastating consequences, stressing, "Be careful what you wish for." He views the bout as a mismatch and has raised concerns over Paul's safety. Despite acknowledging the fight's massive commercial appeal and calling its chances 50-50, Hearn's underlying message is clear. In this fight, Paul risks far more than just his record. His very well-being is on the line.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Daniel Cormier has delivered a measured yet critical response to Jake Paul's decision to take on Davis. He acknowledged Paul's promotional skills and growing legitimacy, saying, "I respect Jake Paul today," while praising how Paul has built himself to the point where Netflix repeatedly partners with him. Still, Cormier could not ignore the glaring mismatch in size. He emphasized that Davis is the superior boxer but highlighted the stark weight difference. Davis weighed around 133.8 pounds in his last bout, while Paul comes in near 200 pounds. Cormier warned that if Davis wins, it could completely derail Paul's momentum. Yet the same risk applies to Davis, who faces the possibility of serious embarrassment fighting someone so much bigger.
When the Disruptor Challenge is a legend, guys, anything can happen. When a kid that was on YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, "I'm going to be a professional boxer," Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed that vision better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly end his career. Our Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that throws things to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off.
Jake Paul today announced that he has signed with the PFL.
The PFL.
hell.
A couple weeks ago, Jake Paul and I were messaging each other about an appearance on my show, DC and RC. Just kind of talking about his future. And honestly, Jake and I have had some run-ins. When I started talking to him and I'm messaging him, he's a kid that's very respectful. And we had respectful conversations. He has an idea what he wants to do. Now, these kids today are different, right? So he's very boisterous, he's very verbal, he speaks big. But will Jake Paul actually fight in the PFL? A lot of boxers say they're going to fight, but they never actually do. Here's the thing about Jake Paul, though. He's from Ohio. Ohio has some of the best high school wrestling. Jake Paul was a high school wrestler there. So was his brother, Logan. They weren't bad. I believe this one, he'll actually fight.
Former super middleweight champion Carl Froch has issued a stern warning about the safety risks of the upcoming Paul vs. Davis exhibition, highlighting an estimated 65-pound weight gap. Paul typically fights near 200 pounds, while Davis competes at 135 pounds. Despite Davis's superior skill, Froch cautioned that Paul's size and unusual power pose a serious threat to Davis, noting that Davis won't be used to being hit like that. Froch's concerns mirror widespread unease within boxing circles, with many viewing the matchup less as a legitimate contest and more as a dangerous spectacle where both credibility and fighter safety are in question.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proves time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode. But I hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Ryan Garcia harshly criticized the matchup, questioning its legitimacy and calling the idea completely insane. He argued that modern boxing is losing credibility and compared the sport to professional wrestling, claiming it now resembles WWE more than a serious competition. According to Garcia, such matchups damage the integrity of boxing, making it harder for fans to take the sport seriously. In his words, boxing is officially the WWE.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So, you know, I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and, you know, this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, you know, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, you know, I think it's ironic, though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't, allegedly? So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Amir Khan has strongly condemned the scheduled exhibition bout between Paul and Davis, calling it disgusting and warning that it poses serious safety risks. He emphasized that the fight's vast weight discrepancy, Paul at around 200 pounds versus Davis at 135 pounds, along with an 8-inch height difference, makes it dangerously mismatched and unlikely to be professionally sanctioned. Khan warned that such contests risk serious injury and could undermine boxing's credibility, while applauding promoter Turki Alshik for refusing to participate in YouTube-style spectacles.
Obviously a lot heavier than him, but you know, in an exhibition fight. What are your thoughts on this fight?
A really bad mismatch, and you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. Yeah. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Michael Bisping didn't mince words when calling out Paul. "That's what you call a bully," he remarked, highlighting the massive physical mismatch between Paul and lighter fighters like Canelo Alvarez, a 60-pound gap and a 7-inch height advantage. Bisping criticized Paul's opponent selection, accusing him of targeting smaller, less skilled athletes to secure wins, calling it an embarrassment. He questioned Paul's legitimacy as a serious fighter, stating that Paul relies on spectacle and size disparity rather than merit. In Bisping's view, masquerading as a boxer while cherry-picking opponents is pure bully tactics.
How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It's like, dude, what are you doing? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real.
Bisping and KSI have both criticized Jake Paul for his choice of opponents. Bisping argues that Paul carefully selects fighters who are smaller or less skilled, creating unfair advantages, and has described some matchups as disappointing spectacles due to weight and experience differences. He also noted that Paul is more of a businessman than a fighter, building his career on marketing rather than competition, often targeting aging legends or fighters past their prime instead of pursuing fair bouts that would truly test his ability. Similarly, KSI has condemned Paul's fight with Gervonta Davis, calling it a disgrace to boxing and expressing disappointment that Paul avoids facing him, opting for easier challenges. Both Bisping and KSI's comments reflect frustration with Paul's approach and a desire for legitimate, competitive fights.
Gervonta not filling the rematch clause and just fighting Jake Paul and that whole situation and reaction of the fight itself.
I feel people people got issues because it's 200 million mandatory or either go fight for 5 million. It's a no-brainer. Like, what's wrong with you? It's a no-brainer.
A hard fight. A hard fight.
And we prize fighters. They prize fighters.
That's right.
And the prize is big, and he's gonna retire soon. So you got 200 million right here, and you're about to retire soon, or either a $5 million.
Wait a minute. Kid said he disagreed. Why did he disagree?
I think it's just from a fighter standpoint. And on top of that, he got a draw. It's not like you won. Like you won and you gonna go fight Jake Paul. You got a draw, man. You gotta go get that back.
Why? It was a cherry pick.
I mean, yeah, it was a cherry pick, and you didn't
So
look
hold
good.
on.
So you got to.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse, and now he wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away from it.
Dave Allen, the British heavyweight known as the White Rhino, criticized the proposed Paul versus Davis exhibition as a farce and a waste of Davis's prime, asserting that exhibitions should be reserved for retired fighters. He argued that Davis, a pound-for-pound elite lightweight, should pursue a rematch with Lamont Roach, while Paul should test himself against a credible cruiserweight rather than stage spectacle bouts. Allen accused both men of being motivated by money rather than sporting merit and bluntly stated that he wouldn't bother watching what he considers a farce.
Bears, but he's never been punched by a rhinoceros, has he yet? So we'll have to see.
He's training this fight, but fighting against real bears. This is true. People are going, no chance, no chance. Do you reckon this guy, could he be the toughest of your opponents so far, do you reckon?
I don't think he's the best that I've faced. I've faced a few Olympic medalists, a few world title challengers, but I think he's probably the most dangerous. Maybe not the best boxer, he might not be the most technical, but he hits really hard, he's really big and strong, so yeah, I think it's the most dangerous task I've faced, but he may be not the best fighter I've been in with.
Whereabouts is the fight, Dave? Where are you fighting him?
He's still at Sheffield Arena,
right?
Headlining in Sheffield, which is like my local arena. So yeah, it's a big night for me.
He won his last fight, didn't you, Dave, against Ricardo Brown, and 20 wins, 19 KOs he's got. So like you says, he is dangerous. How's the training gone for you ahead of this fight?
Yeah, it's been good. He's put a bit of fear in me, to be honest. I have had a bit of genuine fear. I've been stopped, but I've never been on the canvas ever as a pro or amateur. And I'd like to keep it that way, really. Yep. I'm not on anyone's highlight reel. You see highlight reels of all the fighters I face. I'm not on any of them, and I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, training has gone up a notch. For the Fisher rematch, I did weigh a little bit heavy. So for this one, if I cut any corners, there's a good chance I'll get beaten.
Some critics are calling Gervonta Davis's decision to face a much larger, high-profile influencer a masterclass in evasion, labeling it the greatest duck in boxing history. Instead of settling unfinished business with a peer, he chose a lucrative spectacle, prompting accusations that he sidestepped real competition. The move appears less like a sporting challenge and more like a calculated retreat from risk, driven by exposure and payday. In a sport where legacy often outweighs money, prioritizing glamour over gritty rivalries is seen as the ultimate dodge. Many view the fight as a total money grab, placing cash over competition and turning boxing into mere entertainment. The massive size mismatch, combined with hype-fueled promotion, makes it feel more like a spectacle than a sport, raising concerns that it cheapens boxing and endangers participants, highlighting how far the sport has strayed from its traditional values.
At the end of the, when we give it to you straight, no chaser. In sports, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul have a fight coming up. I ain't even gonna call it a fight, because it ain't. If Jake Paul's involved in it, it's a great acting job, You know Mike Tyson could have just knocked Jake Paul's face into the canvas, but he got paid to pull punches, otherwise he wouldn't have got paid. I'm pretty sure the same is going for Gervonta Davis. It's a quick money grab. Man, most of y'all gonna be suckers who tune in. It's this quick money grab. That's all I'm saying. Ain't gonna be no fight. I don't give a fuck how big Jake Paul is. He can't take one of them little mother tank punches. Yeah, tank move furniture. Move furniture. Catch that motherfucking move furniture. And Jake don't like his furniture move, so he gonna pay him not to hit him again. If you really want to show out Gervonta, sign a contract that you ain't gonna hit him, because if you hit him, you lose all the money. And then whoop that motherfucker's ass, put him to sleep, and get him out the boxing game.
Some critics argue that boxing is dying, claiming the sport has strayed too far from its roots of fair competition and genuine skill. They believe celebrity-driven matchups, mismatched opponents, and spectacle-focused events are overshadowing the sport's legacy. Rather than showcasing world-class fighters, critics say the focus has shifted to entertainment value.
Whoa! Jake Paul is fighting
Gervonta Tank Davis. Chilaquiles. Chilaquiles.
Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy.
Oh, it's musty, and I say that respectfully. Per Mike Hoppinger in the Ring magazine, Gervonta Tank Davis, freshly off his domestic violence charges being dropped, will get into the ring with Jake Paul in Atlanta with a proposed date of November 15th. Lord child.
Get your hand out of my pocket!
Tank weighs about 135. Jake Paul weighs about 200-something pounds. So obviously this will be at a catch weight, and this possibly will not be a sanctioned fight where it will count on anybody's records. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Tank fans, you niggas down bad.
The hatred.
Musty energy.
You niggas is down bad.
What do you think about this matchup? Should Paul finally face an opponent closer to his size and skill level to truly prove himself, or is this simply part of how boxing operates today? Share your thoughts below.